Hello, my name is Jessie Fairbanks. I'm a features programmer for Doc NYC, and I am very pleased to welcome the director, Minna Dufton, to talk about her film, Big versus Small. We also have the main subjects of the film, giant wave champion, Johanna Andrade, and freedivist, Johanna Norbland. Welcome, Minna, Johanna, and Johanna. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing Big versus Small with Doc NYC's audience.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. So Minna, just to start with you, the film focuses so much on conquering fear and the challenges of self-determination. And it's not just conquering fear of giant waves, but also fear of physical limitations, of our own pasts, of our fragility as humans. And so my question is, did you set out to make a film about conquering fear or about surfing, or did you meet Johanna first? How did this story start?
I've always been sort of interested in opposites, like big challenges and small people, and fear. It's been one of those topics that I've always really found interesting to work with. And to cut a very long story short, I bumped into the topic of big wave surfing and women surfing big waves through a BBC News article back in 2017. And back then I didn't even know that there were women surfing such big waves. And instantly I was interested and drawn to the subject, and always been interested in topics on female empowerment. So I started searching more on the topic, and I ended up in Portugal, where the biggest waves in the world are measured each year. And of course, you know, from Finland, it's a long way to start. You know, with something like a feature documentary, you have to do your background research well. And so I learned how to surf to begin with, because I coming from Finland, we don't have many big waves. So I traveled to Portugal to learn how to surf. And on this trip, I got to know some people from the big wave surfing community. I began talking with them, and soon the topic that I had been interested in, which was women surfing big waves, it became a bigger story than that. And the psychological side of big wave surfing began to interest me more. And I knew that I wanted to really, you know, meet someone who did this, and that I wanted to meet a woman who surfed big waves. And so I heard about Johanna, who was the, back then was the only one of two women in Europe surfing these big waves. And I heard, when I met Johanna back in June 2018 and we got to know each other, I learned that, you know, she had very nearly drowned a few times in her life, and the fear of drowning was something that was there in her life. And I also had learned that one of the best ways to learn to survive a situation when you're surfing a big wave and end up in a wipeout was to go free diving under the ice. And I happen to know a woman who did this, and Johanna, that's how Johanna, you know, became part of the story. And Big versus Small is very much a story about working through your fear. And in this film, Johanna's job was to work through her fear of drowning with the help of Johanna, who took her some very icy waters in Finland, where she had to face her biggest demons. Yeah, I think I went on a bit.
That's okay. I think it's great to know about the process behind. And one of my questions was, did you learn how to surf? So thank you for answering that. Johanna, when Minna approached you about being the main subject of a documentary, obviously, you know, you are a world champion and you've received a lot of press and attention for your surfing acumen. But what did you think about the idea of being the main subject of a film, especially one that is so deeply personal?
Well, first, it's not every day, so you receive an invitation to make a movie. In the beginning, I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can share my life in the screens. But after I say, why not? You know, we maybe I can inspire some women, and I start to know better and better Mina. We start to get a good connection, and we drop this way together. So yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, I think we all appreciate your candor and vulnerability throughout this film. Johanna, you have held your breath for a record-breaking 6 minutes and 39 seconds, 6 minutes and 35 seconds in competition, which is just insane. How did you first get involved in freediving, and when did you realize this was your superpower?
It's not only my superpower, it's everyone's superpower. And that's why I'm involved in this film. But I started freediving in 2000, I think. And it was the first time I ever heard about the freediving. I was a scuba diver, and then my friends start to freediving, and they said, maybe Johanna, you like this also. And I said, what? Oh, freediving. Okay, I tried. And that was end of my scuba diving career. Yeah.
I think quite impressive. I know you say that everyone can learn to hold their breath for 2.5 minutes with you, but that's a long stretch, just 6.5 minutes. So it's a remarkable skill set that you've developed. Question for you, Minna, and you kind of touched on this, it's in the title, big versus small, right? So we start off with these gigantic cinematic giant wave surfing scenes that require a very different type of crew and setup and production approach. And then we move into this very small, quiet, intimate moments between Joanna and Johanna as they're working on the ice diving. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you planned shooting in both those worlds?
This is an interesting one. I mean, both those worlds are very challenging, and big waves. There aren't many people on this planet that will go and film them, and equally not too many that will go and film underwater. And obviously these were two places we had to go, and we did. How we planned it? Well, in the ice, Johanna was the master, because none of us knew how that all was going to work in the scenes that you see in the lake. It was very much training session organized by Johanna, and me and Johanna communicated a lot about what was going to happen, and how we could film and where we could film. And but of course the weather threw in a few challenges when we were doing that. Those scenes you see in the film from Finland were filmed over 3 days in December 2018. And back then we were lucky to have some ice in the lake Sonnanen, where we filmed it, 2 centimeters in fact, those days that we were there. And yeah, I mean, simple things like where you can stand to hold a mic, or where you can put lights, weren't that simple. But because Johanna knows her field, the lake, so well, she could tell us where we could place ourselves, and where we could be safe, because safety, of course, in something like this it's first and foremost. So yeah, safety was my main concern, and the same went with filming big waves. I've never done anything never directed or been involved in anything as dangerous as this. And I suppose in a production you should really minimize risks, and we did. I had more, in Nazaré, the biggest waves in the world. In my crew we had some extra jet skis just to make sure that Joanna was safe, and when she surfed a wave that she would be picked up instantly, and that she felt safe. doing this, and safety was really, you know, my main concern, and that took some planning, and very careful planning actually, and took a long time. Also the kind of the challenge between us, my team being based in Finland, and the big waves being based on the opposite end of Europe, you know, presented another challenge. But we based ourselves in Nazaré for 3.5 weeks last autumn, when we filmed most of the big wave surfing footage, and that really paid off. We were there waiting for the, you know, the best moments to go in, and we worked with Tim Boniden, who's legendary surf cinematographer from Australia. Tim is, as far as I know, one of very few cinematographers who will actually go in the waves. He goes he goes there because he wants to go there. He's always after the bigger wave. So I've been really lucky to work with this crew that I have, and that I've had. You know, obviously Johanna and Joana explaining their fields and what happens in them to me enough, so that I was brave enough to gather the crew and go and do this. It was my first time ever directing a film about big wave surf or freediving.
I mean, it's no small undertaking, but you did it with aplomb, as it shows in the film. Joanna, my question for you, you know, here you are, we see your surfboards and the sunshine behind you. We're also jealous because it's cold where we are. You know, thank you for sharing your life and for being so open about your experiences in the film. I have a two-parter for you. I'm curious as to what your thoughts were when you saw the final product of the film, and I'm also curious if your mom has seen the film and what her thoughts are.
Well, oh, good question. Actually, my mom don't. For my mom, it was difficult to watch the movie, but enjoy a lot. Enjoy in the beginning. Was a little bit, what my daughter is going to do, what we're going to say. But I think she's very proud of me. And of course, for me, it's not like I say in the beginning. It's not every day they make a movie about myself. So for me, it's a big honor to have a film. It's not easy, because it was not easy for me, because I show a lot of my personal life. Not easy, but I think it's for a good way to show this movie.
I'm sure it was difficult, but again, thank you for being so open with us as an audience.
And it was an amazing experience to dive with Johanna, to be in Finland, because it's not every day you jump in the cold water and do this. And for me, it was a big learning to dive in the ice.
Yeah, and Johanna, you've actually inspired me and one of my fellow colleagues. We've been like holding our breath and like going underneath water where we can and when we can, because the idea of being able to conquer, you know, your physicality is so appealing. You know, you're obviously very good at this, and at the end of the film we see you learning how to surf for the first time, and you seem like a very tenacious woman. So my question is, you know, have you continued, Johanna? Are you surfing now, or was that just a way to find out a little bit about Joanna's world?
Yes, I get interested, and here in Finland there is not so many good places to surf, but I have been thinking about that a lot, and I almost go surfing last weekend, but maybe next one.
Well, Joanna's sitting here with her sunshine and all of her boards. I mean, if that doesn't make, I know we're living in difficult times right now and travel is limited because of the coronavirus, but at some point, I mean, it makes all of us want to go be with you, Joanna, and go surf. Well, we are running out of time, but thank you so much, all three of you, for being brave enough to make what, as Minna very well put, was a very challenging film to make, both in terms of the operations and the construction of it, and in terms of both of you putting yourself and your skills in front of the camera and in quite challenging circumstances. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
One last question for you, Minna, before we go. If people enjoyed the film and want to share, word, how can they spread the word about Big versus Small?
Oh, well, we have our Facebook page. People could share that. The tag is at Big versus Small Film. The same tag is also on our Instagram. Those are two great ways of finding us and spreading the message. And YouTube, we have our trailer up there, and please share that to your friends and tell them about the film. And yeah, just keep messaging your friends about Big versus Small.
Great, we will do. So to all of our Doc and Micey audience on your couch, please put your hands together for Minna Dufton, the director of Big versus Small, and for Johanna Andrade, the main subject, the giant wave surfer, and for Johanna Norbland, our amazing freediver. Thank you three for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.